Your morals don't matter. I'll give you a scenario to explain. Imagine you're this guy. There's a train coming and you have two options. You can either do nothing and let the train run over 3 people in the first lane, or you can pull this lever and actively change the train's course and kill just 1 person. Now, me personally, I'm gonna have to pull that trigger. I wouldn't want to do it, but it's for the greater good. Now, the whole point of this thought experiment is to show that there's actually no right or wrong answer. You can argue that deciding to pull the lever is bad because you're actively hurting someone, but at the same time, you can argue that doing nothing is equally as bad because being present makes you responsible. This moral ambiguity is what I want to discuss in this video, specifically in relation to Geto from Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm going to go through his story chronologically and explain his quote-unquote descent into darkness. Make sure to like the video, it helps out a lot, and let's get right into it. Starting with the hidden inventory arc, when we first meet Geto here, it's ironic because compared to Gojo, he believes the protection of humans is the main reason Jujutsu sorcery exists. He has an argument with Gojo, who believes that assigning reason to power is what the weak do. What makes this interesting is because that, as you'll see, the further we look into Geto's story, he never changes his values. He just changed how he went about expressing them. After this, the two are assigned a mission to do exactly what they argued about. They get assigned to protect a non-sorcerer named Riko, and it's an easy mission until it isn't. Gojo and Geto knew there were going to be people coming after them in an attempt to kill Riko. It seemed easy at first. I mean, Geto was literally abusing the elderly, giving this dude straight hands, but when they got back to Jujutsu High is when shit got serious. Toji, the known sorcerer killer, shows up and reveals he set a bounty on Riko just to wear down Gojo and Geto. He waited until they let their guard down to attack Gojo, knowing he was the strongest. Geto takes this opportunity while Toji and Gojo are fighting to take Riko to Tengen's tomb, and before merging, he asks her one last time whether she wants to go through with the merger or not. This scene is subtle, but once again reinforces Geto's moral values. He explains that when him and Gojo were given the mission, their teacher Masamichi explained the terms with a sense of disagreement. Gojo and Geto correlated this to the fact that the student is unable to choose whether the sacrifice is made or not. Geto explains that he and Gojo decided if the student says they don't want to follow through with the merger, they'll call it off, even if it means fighting Tengen. He tells Riko they're the strongest, so they'll protect her future. Riko decides that she does want to go home, so Geto takes her hand. Toji had other plans for her. Obviously, this enrages Geto and he starts to fight Toji, who I forgot to mention is a non-sorcerer. His power comes from his heavenly restriction, which caused him to be born without cursed energy. However, in exchange, he was granted insane physical attributes. This, along with his plan to wear Gojo down, is how he made quick work of him and was able to get to Toji so fast. Toji was a professional sorcerer killer and Geto stood absolutely no chance and got embarrassed. After this, Toji takes Riko's body to the Star Religious Group headquarters, which is the group who paid Toji to interrupt the merger by killing her in the first place. After delivering the body, Toji runs into the crackhead ghost of Gojo, and let's just say it doesn't end well. Gojo goes inside to retrieve Riko's body, and this is where it gets interesting. Geto arrives to see Gojo carrying Riko's dead body surrounded by Star Religious Group members applauding. They say the eyes are the window to the soul, and Geto for sure could see just how much the whole thing affected even Gojo, who started out not even caring about protecting the weak. Using this as context, we can only imagine that Geto feels the same pain and anger times 10 at this point. He's standing in a room full of people applauding at the death of someone he was trying to protect. Before they leave, Gojo asks if they should kill the rest of the members of the association because at that point he doubts he would feel anything. Geto tells Gojo they shouldn't because there would be no point as the leaders have already fled. Gojo asks if there even needs to be a point, to which Geto says, yes there does, especially as Jujutsu sorcerer there needs to be a reason. The scene reinforces their beliefs with Gojo rejecting morality in favor of hedonism and Geto being fully motivated by his own moral code. Hedonism is defined as the pursuit of pleasure and selfish indulgence. This makes sense for Gojo, who from birth was able to do whatever he wanted as the strongest. Geto, on the other hand, had a more balanced and nuanced view of the world. He wasn't overpowered like Gojo, and because of that, he could see the need for the strong to protect the weak. Because of this, he held his morals in high regard, which is something Gojo just couldn't comprehend at this point. This is one of the main reasons I say your morals don't matter, because they're based on your own perspective of the world. Who's to say whether Gojo or Geto is right in this instance? You could argue that they should kill them because applauding the death of an innocent girl is sadistic, but you also could argue that they were just the followers, and like Geto said, the leaders are who should be focused. After the scene, there's a time skip to a year later, and Geto thinks about how things have changed since Riko's death. Gojo is definitively the strongest, making it so that both he and Geto now go on missions separately, and obviously this affects Geto more because unlike Gojo, every single mission isn't just a cakewalk. Geto describes absorbing curses as being like
It's like swallowing a dirty rag that's been used to clean up shit and vomit.
Geto questions who he's doing it for. He fights as a sorcerer to protect others even after seeing what the very people he puts himself in pain for are capable of. He tells himself to continue his duty as the strongest, which in his eyes is to look out for and protect the weak. This, however, is also the beginning of his racist arc and the first time he refers to non-sorcerers as monkeys. Shortly after this, Geto has a conversation with Haibara about whether him being a sorcerer was the right choice. Haibara tells him he's satisfied with it as long as he does his best to follow whatever path he chooses to go. This sparks a realization in Geto and the point I'm making this video to relate. The fact that at the end of the day, whatever path you choose to go down in life, you have to decide it for yourself, meaning you have to decide what you think is right or wrong morally, and those morals will be shaped by what you see in the society you live in. Of course, society has a set of moral principles that are usually aligned with the masses, but even some of those are questionable. For example, it's easy to say stealing is never okay, but should the poor man with 3 kids and a wife go to jail for trying to steal food for his family? Even though stealing is considered bad by the majority, real life situations are far too nuanced to stick to set moral principles. After coming to this realization, Yuki shows up and talks to Geto about the 2 ways she's figured out how to stop curses from being created. She explains how they're born from a buildup of cursed energy leaking from non-sorcerers, and that the 2 options would be either 1, eliminating cursed energy in all of humanity, or 2, teaching humans how to control their cursed energy. Geto throws out the idea of just killing all non-sorcerers and is surprised when she says that's also a valid option. She just says she's not crazy enough to do it. She asks him if he hates non-sorcerers, and he explains that while at first he did believe sorcerers existed to protect them, their value was wavering in his mind. He compares the preciousness of the weak to the ugliness of the weak and says that part of him despises non-sorcerers and the other part of him rejects that feeling. Geto says he doesn't know which way to go, and Yuki says neither. She explains that they're both just possibilities and he has a chance to choose going forward, which is his true feeling. She's essentially telling him that it's okay to take time to develop his moral compass because morals are so fickle, it's important not to rush yourself to come to moral decisions. This is how you avoid becoming like Geto and being conflicted inside about whether you're living quote unquote the right way. There is no right way to live. We all live based on our own morals, which come from our experiences and surroundings. As Geto explains, being a sorcerer in his eyes just led to a pile of his comrades' corpses stacking higher and higher, and the people they were dying for becoming more and more intolerable. He goes on a mission to investigate an incident involving evil spirits in the village and finds that a non-sorcerer couple has enclosed 2 child sorcerers in a cage. He keeps telling the couple the girls are not responsible for the incident, but they don't listen and keep berating the girls. This is Geto's last straw, and where he snaps. He ends up freeing the girls and killing the entire village of non-sorcerers. He even kills his own parents to solidify his new path in life, choosing to kill all non-sorcerers in an attempt to make the world better according to his own moral compass. This is what he explains to Gojo when he questions him about why he killed the villagers. Geto says there is a point and a cause and significance. He quotes Haibara's words and says he made his decision and now it's a matter of doing the best he can to achieve it. This whole interaction, Geto also mocks Gojo's lack of morality and purpose when he specifically asks,
Do you think you're the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Or are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest?
To sum up Geto's character arc, it's overall a story about the fickleness and individuality attached to morals. His story shows the importance of realizing your morals are not going to perfectly align with everyone else's, and that's okay. I'm not saying Geto was right to start hating non-sorcerers, but it's not up for me to decide if he was wrong. Even Yuki agreed that the idea of killing all non-sorcerers was valid, she just didn't follow through with the plan. Who's to say if she experienced a similar life to Geto, she wouldn't have followed the same path? I think while there are certain basic moral principles we tend to follow, at the end of the day, we all choose what we believe is right and wrong. And that's exactly why I say your morals don't matter. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment down below. I love y'all, and I'm out. Peace.